What's up, my people? Today we are talking about gaslighting PTSD. Sound familiar? You ever had an experience that was so painful with a gaslighter that you constantly feel like you are reliving it or re-attracting it or re-manifesting it or second guessing yourself? If you have, today we're going to talk about it, talk about how it manifests, how to tell what the heck is happening, and how to get through it and lessen the grip that it has on you. So if that sounds like something you're into, join me. But before we dive in, I just want to offer, for those of you who are trying to discern whether what you're in right now is a gaslighting moment or just natural conflict that happens in the natural course of work relationships, it may be that you need better conflict management skills. And I want to tell you, I have an online class that is pre-recorded. You do it at your own pace, but that is designed to give you the skills you need, the tools you need in order to be effective at navigating conflict without losing your mind and without making the other person into an enemy. And it is called the No Enemy Conversation. And you can go and buy it, roll with it. Once you buy it, it's yours forever, and you can come back to it and keep working through the tools that I give you. Go to noenemy.bronwyncommunications.com. Okay, let's dive in. So what is gaslighting PTSD? Listen, when we are gaslit, when someone effectively attempts, and maybe even successfully attempts, to convince us that our version of reality is wrong, what it does is it destroys and erodes our self-trust. And listen, in this life, there is nothing more precious than our ability to trust our own instincts. So when somebody gaslights us and it works and we fall for it, or we half fall for it, or we are made crazy by it, it erodes something deeply precious, something that is the essence of who we are and how we move through the world. It's like losing your sight temporarily, right? When somebody gaslights us, we lose our capacity to trust our vision, to trust our intuition, to trust our read of a situation. And when that happens, it leaves a mark, psychologically speaking. So when we experience post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'm not saying that it's literal post-traumatic stress disorder because that has its own sort of signature. If you want to know what I'm talking about, just Google it. We're talking about sort of, if PTSD exists on a spectrum, extreme PTSD where someone has lived through a war zone or has survived a really horrendous sexual assault or something. And they were constantly reliving it, like they're dropping into that experience and literally seeing the bombs go off or seeing their assailant. That's at the extreme end of the spectrum. That is real PTSD. But the PTSD exists on a big spectrum, right? There's lots of variations on that, from super extreme to medium to mild, right? And so gaslighting PTSD lives somewhere in here, right? It's enough to erode our confidence and enough to make us question our sanity. And because it does that, it is really dangerous. Because if we don't have a functioning relationship, if we don't have a functioning rapport with our own intuition, we're going to make real bad choices one after another forever and ever. Amen. So how do you know you have gaslighting PTSD? You know you have gaslighting PTSD where you are constantly second guessing yourself. You come out of a meeting and you're like, I don't know what just happened. That may be the residual effects of having not been able to trust yourself for so long. Or it may manifest as anger, right? If you've been gaslit and you are pissed about it, and resentful and mad at yourself for not stopping it sooner, the way your gaslighting PTSD may manifest is that you are ready to fight. Somebody says something that you're unsure, like, what do they mean by that? I feel like I'm on shaky ground here. Instead of calling a timeout and saying, whoa, I feel like I'm misunderstanding something. My read of the situation is X. Do I have that right? Instead of doing that, you're like, oh, don't you gaslight me, Mr., Mrs., right? Where the other person's like, dude, I wasn't gaslighting you. I was just disagreeing with you. Or I wasn't gaslighting you. I was just telling you that's literally not what I heard in that conversation. People are entitled to disagree with you and disagree with me. So we need to make sure some gaslighting PTSD can manifest as this strident unwillingness to ever be wrong or to ever be told that our understanding of a situation is off. Like, come on. Sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes our understanding is off. Real gaslighting is if we try and clarify, create boundaries, create understanding, create clarity. Gaslighters don't like that, and they will resist it. They'll shame you for asking the question. They'll say, shame on you for even asking that. They'll say, if you have to ask that question, it shows me that you don't understand what's going on here. That's a classic gaslighting move, right? So gaslighting PTSD can manifest in these different ways and really sabotage us. So then the question is like, okay, well, great. What do I do if I suspect I'm stuck in a gaslighting PTSD moment? Here's what. When we come out of a gaslighting relationship, whether it's professional or personal, it leaves a psychological mark. And when it's over, when it's done with, we want to run from it as fast as we can, bury it, close the suitcase, and move the hell on, proverbially, metaphorically speaking. But what we need to actually do is ritualize the end of it, right? When you think about, death and dying, we have rituals around it. We get together, we have celebration of life services, we talk about the person, we create closure. When you are gaslit, when someone has robbed you of your sense of self-trust, that is something that deserves to be mourned, processed, and marked. You may need to sit in the bathtub with the saddest damn music you ever heard and cry your eyes out to mark the pain and suffering that you experienced in that relationship. Or maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you're just so pissed and you need to go to the driving range and hit the crap out of some golf balls to exercise that rage, those demons. You've got to create some kind of ritualized moment of closure. Some clients I've worked with will literally write down the story and then set it on fire, or write a letter to their gaslighter and set it on fire. The problem with modern culture is that we don't have any of these opportunities to close, to mark endings. We act like we're all just supposed to be like, oh, I don't feel anything. Yeah, that happened, but I'm fine. Didn't bother. I'm cool. It's good. It's all fine. It's not all fine. It messed you up psychologically. You may need to talk to a counselor. You may need to write a letter and set it on fire in your backyard. I usually use a big stainless steel pot for stuff like that because I don't want to set the neighborhood on fire, right? My point is you need to create closure, because inside the closure, once we process the grief or the rage or whatever it is, then we can ask ourselves, what did I learn from this? What did I learn from this? What am I taking from this? Constructively, what did I learn about other people? But what do I learn about myself? How might I make sure this never happens again? What are the systems I'm going to have in place to make sure that doesn't happen again? Am I going to keep a journal? Am I going to find someone that can be my sounding board that I trust, that can tell me if I'm crazy or not, right? That is the critical piece. If you can create that closure, if you can take those learnings into your next gig, if you can take it and make a meaning of it, it is going to have less power over you. And actually what it will do is it will become a story that you tell to other people about how to be more resilient, things you've learned, right? It becomes a part of who you are in a good way. I hope that helps. Please, please, please comment, drop me a note. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to hear more of. I love hearing from you guys. And as you may have noticed, if you've commented before, I try and get right back to people. So thank you for being here. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Shine on. We need your light.